Are we finally in a recession? Time to panic? Probably, maybe, all of the above? Listen, I'm not an economist, I'm a Chicago realtor. And I would advise you as a Chicago realtor that you should absolutely... Good people, 319 of you to be exact, thank you for watching my latest video. This is who I am, Anant Deoras, AD. I'm a Chicago realtor, as I said at the beginning of the video, helping so many people in Chicago. And through my YouTube channel, I'm talking about real estate and the neighborhoods. And what I like to do is I like to share facts, not fiction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out to you exactly what I'm going to be explaining today. I'm going to say what impacts first-time buyers, move-up buyers, and potentially some investors. We're going to talk about the macro and microeconomic factors here, talking of the numbers, so you can be fully informed. You need to make that decision. Do you want to have time in the market, or you want to wait on the market, right? It's that kind of time in versus wait philosophy that people have to struggle. They have an internal struggle, and they're trying to time this market. And I don't care if this is 6 months ago or today or 6 months from today. If you want to transact in real estate, specifically Chicago real estate, and this is what I want to get really kind of zero in on. I'm a Chicago realtor. You're seeing all the noise throughout the US, good old US of A, stuff happening in Arizona and California and Florida and Texas as it pertains to falling prices. And I would say that's more of kind of just going back to normalcy. Well, we're having our own form of normalcy here in Chicago, and the numbers aren't as bad as you think. But you need to make that decision, right? Let's look at the interest rate at this time of this video. It's just about 6.7, maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little higher. It's under 7%. It's anticipated to be lower as we go into 2023. If that's all you're focusing on, then you're missing the boat. You need to be looking at the totality. Get in the market. That's my advice to you instead of being on the sidelines. Now, you may have in your mind, well, you know, AD, I'm just going to wait until 2023. These home prices are going to go down. We're going to go into recession, right? Or maybe we're in a recession. Again, I'm not an economist. So I've shared this multiple times, and I'm gonna beat that dead horse. I'm gonna beat that dead horse. Can I say that on YouTube, beating a dead horse? I'm gonna do it. Recession does not equal housing crisis or basically a reduction of prices. If you see here, this is the graph. I'm gonna keep this up here. This is very important. 4 out of the last 6, including the great one we had, recession, and back in the tech bust, prices were at or went up, right? So if you're thinking to wait, well, what's going to happen here? You wait, you may have that reduction in interest rates, but those home prices are going to be at or above. And as I've mentioned, Chicago is kind of shielded from the extremes of what's happening in the southeast, southwest, west, and you may be back to square one. So let's get into the market now, and that's for all types of groups. Your first timers, which I know it's a little tough with the monthly payment, even those move up buyers too. Do that because, particularly the move-up buyers, because you're thinking, okay, I've got this phenomenal interest rate. Oh, excuse me, I don't want to go into something where I may be paying 2 or 3 times more. Yes, I'm going to be honest with you, that interest rate is going to be higher, but you can always refinance later. You need to stop thinking about, oh my God, that kind of short-term shock. You can handle it. These rates aren't going to be at this levels forever, folks. So if you have that dream home, and there's less competition now, so particularly my move-up people, reach out to me. Your first step is you need to create an account. Look what's out there. Look what properties are out there. And if you have something that could potentially be your dream home, let's get you in there. We can write in a contingency in the contract, right, that you need to sell your existing home first before you're moving. Sellers are going to be motivated to work with you because there's not the craziness of what happened 6 and 8 months ago. Investors, it's a little bit more tricky, right? Because you're really looking at 2 words. It's cash flow, right? And not only do you want to be cash flowing from day one, you want to, of course, you want to also have that cap rate, which basically what your net income is. And so there's a lot of stuff we need to do. I'm thinking of doing, and comment down, I can't even speak. Put something in the comments if you'd like me to do a comprehensive, like how to invest, how to find the ideal investment property in Chicago. I would love to see if there's any interest in there, and I'll be happy to produce that over the next month. But it's more number driven. But circling back to the first timers, right? Don't look at that interest rate. I know you may be interest rate sensitive. Look at the totality And if you have some flexibility, maybe you don't get your first neighborhood. What about your second neighborhood, right? Why pay someone else's mortgage? Have your own mortgage, build equity, have pride of ownership. Again, create that account, livinginchicago.net. It's so simple, right? So that is talking about home prices, where they're going to go, and they may be at or go above, maybe slightly lower. Let's talk about inventory, what inventory is doing right now. So the Fed has done a tremendous job just focusing on having these aggressive rate hikes, right? Which, just really quick 101, right? That doesn't immediately affect the mortgage rates, right? It's basically what the rate of what banks borrow with each other. It's called the Fed funds rate. So they've been focusing on that, and that has reduced demand, right? A lot of buyers have been back on the sidelines, particularly first timers, and that's of course caused, as you can see here, I'm going to talk about a couple of numbers here. Pendings under contract, which measures buyer demand, of course is down and has been trending down. But you need to understand, right, seasonality too. We're in December when I'm producing this video. It's Chicago. Pre-pandemic, it was always going to be a little slower, but you still have motivation on both sides of the aisle, buyers and sellers. New listings, of course, as expected, also trending down. And then the biggest metric, month supply of homes, that's basically that relationship between actives and under contracts. You can see here 2.7, which means for every 2.7 listings, there's one going under contract, one that is coming off the market, right? Sales velocity it measures. And so that is technically a seller's still market, but the numbers aren't crazy as we're seeing in other markets where inventory is escalating up. So again, Chicago is shielded from that. So if you're expecting these prices to just crash or panic, right? There is no panic. It's normal times now, returning to normalcy. If you're looking to see what's out there, of course, create that account, livinginchicago.net. That's inventory, looking at those three metrics. These are leading indicators, folks. Don't look at sales prices. Don't look at closed sales. You know, things like sales prices and closed sales, those are lagging, which may have originated months before, and they just happen to be showing and reported in the month of the data, which of course is always 1 month behind. So right now we're looking at November. The latest data is November 2022. You always want to be looking at the leading indicators, which I've just presented to you. New listings, pendings, and month supply, which is basically that metric that calculates, are we in a buyer's or seller's market? So now let's talk a little bit more about interest rates and the Fed and what's expected in the future. Everyone's been panicking, speaking of panicking, about the interest rates, right? And that's not even the elephant in the room. I'm going to talk about, starts with an A. That's the elephant I'm going to talk next. But the good news here is now the Fed meeting coming up in December 2022, the wording, and you can see here by this screenshot, the wording is a little bit different. They already were expecting to do large increases, but what's expected is they're going to be a smaller than expected hike of that Fed funds rate. And so that could be baked in. And so what we could be seeing towards the end of this year, folks, is even lower rates. Okay, I don't have a crystal ball, but everything is pointing to that, including the chairman and all the governors on the Federal Reserve. That's what's expected. So that's great news. So if that means inflation is coming in check, and of course the CPI report is coming out a day before their meeting. It's going to come out on the 13th of December. Their meeting's on the 14th, and that's going to even show more news. And if that CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is lower than expected again, this would be the second month in a row, then don't expect an extreme basis point increase of that Fed zone rate, and so therefore interest rates will be even lower. And so as we go into the new year, we have a lot of optimism there for rates to come back down. I don't know. I'm hoping it's going to be around 5 probably after the first quarter. It's probably going to be in the 6s at least the first quarter, but I'm hoping by summer we get into the 5s. Okay, so for that elephant in the room, right? We really shouldn't be panicking about Chicago real estate. It's affordability. I know it's been critical, but it's a lot better than it was 6 to 8 months ago. I had my buyers who were just scrambling to find properties, waiving this and that. Nowadays, yes, the interest rates have gone up, but a lot of that competition is gone. So you don't have a lot of competition. Now, you may not have the inventory that you want, but I don't only look at properties on the market. I also have access to off-market properties Maybe there's some sellers that are thinking of getting their property prepared to put on the market by around Super Bowl, and we can get in. It may not look the best, but if that's something that meets your needs, we can maybe strike a really, really good deal. And so basically before they even have to put it on the market. But the only way I can help is you need to reach out to me. So this has been Should You Panic About Chicago Real Estate? I'm Anant Deoras, AD. Please now sign up, livinginchicago.net, create an account. I'm here to help. Comment below how else I can help. Watch this video here, and I can't wait to see you on my next video.